Well, Michelle, in a press release, SPD says that these changes come after getting feedback from the Office of Police Accountability and the Community Police Commission. But those activists, however, say it doesn't sound like much, if anything, is changing at all, and that those community groups need to have an actual bite. Since the May shooting death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, protests have erupted across the U.S., including here in Seattle. In their wake, 19,000 complaints of police brutality have been filed against SPD, many of which are repeats of the same incidents. Earlier this month, 3 officers were found to have used excessive force by the Office of Police Accountability.
When you put on that uniform and that badge, you're held to a standard.
Mark Anthony, an activist, hasn't been to many of the protests lately, and with SPD now saying it has changed its approach to them, including de-escalation when feasible, improving means of conveying public safety messages, and taking action against unlawful behavior in otherwise lawful crowds, Anthony doesn't see much of any difference.
It doesn't sound like they're really changing anything. It just seems like they wanted to clarify that certain actions were acceptable and other actions were not.
When it comes to the more violent behavior, another man had some powerful words.
Property destruction is not a protest, okay? And it's a racial issue. About 98% of the people that are doing property destruction are white. If it was 98% black, we'd be in jail.
And when it comes to officer accountability at protests, another activist tells me, quote, until the OPA and CPC have the ability to fire an officer for malfeasance, publicly release their findings and trends, and enroll a state registration for officers, all pushes to the OPA are meaningless, unfortunately. SPD would not comment further on the changes it says it has made.
The Seattle Police Department by 50%. You heard the cries over and over this summer. We learned today that that's not going to happen for this year. We know it won't happen now for next year either.
And in another rollback, the Seattle Police Department will not see a single officer laid off this year. KOMO's Patrick Quinn joins us live tonight with the latest in this ongoing budget battle. Patrick.
Hey, Molly, if you remember right, just 2 months ago, the council voted on those layoffs, but due to timing and labor laws, we learned today that not a single police officer will lose their job this year. Next year, that's a whole new ball game. Both the mayor and the council are looking to slash millions from SPD. However, we'll have to see what comes to fruition. We did the math, though. Whatever cuts are made, they're going to be far less than what protesters called for. The cries echoed for months. Defund SPD by 50%. In July, 7 of 9 council members were on board, including Council President Lorena Gonzalez.
Now is the time to divest from the police department.
Now, both the mayor and council are proposing to cut far less. In the mayor's 2021 budget proposal, she wants to cut SPD's budget by 12%. In new legislation today, the council is proposing defunding SPD by 17%. Gonzalez today said they're trimming with the same mindset they had in the summer, balance public safety with calls for change.
So this proposal is responsive to those calls from BIPOC community members to divest from our militarized police system and reinvest in true community safety solutions that have broad support of community.
Notably, we learned today layoffs to roughly 70 police officers proposed for this year will not happen due to bargaining conflicts. So the council's looking to trim the department by 100 officers next year to a police force of 1,322 officers. Earlier this month, Police Chief Adrian Diaz warned the council about downsizing his department.
To stay as close to as 1,400 as possible. Each drop below that will mean either slower response times, larger caseloads, or types of crimes we can no longer respond to.
With a month before a budget vote, both the mayor and council are advocating that officers have fewer responsibilities, both in agreement to move 911 dispatching out of the police department. Some council members are pursuing more reshuffling, wanting parking enforcement and community resource officers also out of SPD.
With just a few days to go until Election Tuesday, staff at King County Elections headquarters in Renton are working long hours.
We have folks here hard at work trying to get all those ballots in so we can get the public results as quickly as possible on Tuesday.
And crews are busy going to each and every drop box.
We are out collecting ballots from drop boxes both today and tomorrow as well. and looking forward to a busy couple of days on Monday and Tuesday.
Also this weekend, 7 vote centers in King County are now up and running to answer voter questions and help with ballot concerns.
I just did not receive my ballot in the mail. My wife got hers, so I had to come down here and get one printed so I can vote.
One of those vote centers is at CenturyLink Event Center.
Can vote here. We've got voters pamphlets. We're here to help answer any questions, and you can drop your ballot right here.
Connie Rabin got the help she needed to vote.
I had to change my address and then register and then vote.
King County is expecting a 90% voter turnout, and so far officials say 70% of the ballots from registered voters have been returned.
We are just about 1 million ballots returned, with about 300,000 or so to go to hit our projection of 90% turnout in this election.
If you haven't registered to vote or you don't have your ballot, there's still time. And if you haven't dropped off your ballot.
If you've got your mail ballot packet in your hand, get to a drop box this weekend and return it as soon as possible so that your voice can be heard and your ballot counted.
I always vote, and I think it's important that everybody should vote. And I also think that if you don't vote, you don't get a complaint.
In Seattle, Suzanne Fawn, KOMO News.
A lot of things going on, Michelle. It's mainly the mixture of that cold weather mixed with the holiday season and people meeting together, causing the virus to potentially spread and potentially having more folks head to the hospital because of it.
The state of the pandemic has irritated doctors like Ali Mokdad.
It's frustrating to do what we are doing right now.
Health experts locally have been saying for months now that we needed to lower COVID-19 cases so we could handle a likely influx of cases as we head into the winter months. According to those experts, we didn't do that.
We have been saying for a long time ago that we have a seasonality with COVID-19 is going to increase in winter. And we said our chance to control this virus is in summer.
And it's not just here in the state. According to an interview with the Washington Post published on Saturday, Dr. Anthony Fauci said it's not going to get much better. In the interview, he said, quote, "We are in for a whole lot of hurt. It's not a good situation. All the stars are aligned in the wrong place as you go into the fall and winter season with people congregating at home indoors. You could not possibly be positioned more poorly." It doesn't help that, according to the State Department of Health and Institute of Disease Modeling, the infection rate of COVID-19 is still above that desired amount of being below 1 in Western Washington.
I feel that we're heading down a treacherous path, and the longer we wait, the more difficult it gets to reverse the trajectory of our increasing outbreak.
And it doesn't help that 2 weeks after nearly every holiday during the pandemic, we've seen a rise in cases because people have decided to meet.
The virus clearly has the home field advantage right now, and we need to step up our game big time.
To health officials, that means recognizing the severity of the virus and its effect on people.
We clearly need a COVID-19 reboot.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Johnson from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and all of Western Washington. And don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.